It's the Pixel 9 Pro XL after 6 months of use, and I gotta tell you, if you're looking for an alternative to a smartphone that shall remain nameless, the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL is a fantastic choice, especially when you don't want to spend $1,300 or $1,400 on your next phone. The Pixel 9 Pro XL can be picked up right now. Link in the description does help the channel. $800. And yes, there are some things that I feel that Google needs to do better on the Pixel 10. We'll talk about them, but this is a heck of a lot of value when you think about this amount of smartphone you get for $800. We're going to pull around the camera and talk about it right now. All right, the Pushins are turned back around. You know that means it's time for business. It's the Pixel 9 Pro XL after 6 months of use, and I've been nothing but pleased with my Pixel 9 Pro experience. The Pixel 9 Pro is Google's best phone in years. Personally, I think probably the best phone since the 2 XL. Smooth, great performance. All the previous complaints that I had about Pixel devices have been solved. No overheating here on the Tensor G4, not having that issue. I'm not having the connectivity issues that I used to have with Pixel devices. The Exynos 5400 modem in this device is excellent, rock solid, switches between 5G and 4G LTE smoothly, had no issues with that. There are plenty of things here that were fixed, and it feels like Google just kind of went down a checklist and said, hey, what are people complaining about? We're going to fix this, we're going to fix this, we're going to put that super actual panel on here that's bright and vibrant and excellent. We're going to do those things that make this a great consumer device, and they've absolutely done that. Now when you factor in $800, this becomes a phenomenal deal. 6.8-inch super AXUA display. First Google Pixel product in a while that I don't have to run at 100%. Okay, if I pull this down, look, what are we at, 80% there? I can see it, it's bright enough, it's saturated, it's poppy, it's an absolutely gorgeous panel. 16 gigs of RAM. Don't get that everywhere. I understand that certain portions of it are reserved for AI, but boy, I'd like that on other devices that have perhaps AI products that they're trying to push on us. That's nice. You get the 7 years of software support. Material U is okay. Not my favorite Android skin. It's unoffensive, at least. I like some of it. What I really like about the Google software is the Pixel Extras. Now playing. Some of these other things that you get that are not necessarily available on other platforms. I like getting the updates on here. I like that security blanket that I have with the Pixel devices. And it just is a fantastic experience overall and really smooth. And yes, you can argue that the Tensor G4 does not have the raw horsepower or the benchmarks of something like a Snapdragon 8 Elite or even a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. Absolutely true. But in day-to-day usage, you're not going to recognize that. It's snappy, everything opens. Google's kind of focused on its AI stuff, making the Tensor G4 chips AI-centric. That's fine. There are some deficiencies. We talked about it. Gaming is still not a great experience on here. I don't like the fact that for at least the flagship prices, when I was paying $1,100 for this device, I had more of a problem that games like Genshin Impact defaulted to medium settings, or would only be really smooth at medium settings. I would have liked better gaming performance for the Tensor G5. Supposedly, Google's working on that. They're supposed to get 15% better GPU performance in the Tensor G5 for next year, for later this year, I should say. But for the most part, I'm happy, especially if you lower the bar to $800. I'm very happy because it still had the Pixel 8 Pro before it, and now the Pixel 9 Pro XL are some of the smoothest experience I've had on the entire Android platform. So you could jump up and down all you want about the benchmarks and the power in the Tensor G4. My experience day to day is phenomenal. Your Instagram experience, your X experience, your Facebook experience, Chrome, everything that you're going to do that you need to do on a smartphone, you're going to be able to do and do well on this at a flagship level experience, especially for that lower price tag. Some people think the design is kind of aging a little bit, or they haven't warmed up to the design. I happen to like the design. Do I prefer the Pixel 8 Pro design over the Pixel 9 Pro XL design? Yes. I think that was a better, more Pixel-esque design for Google, but I'm not really going to complain about this. This is a premium looking design. I love the rose quartz. I wish, and this is something that even was on previous devices, the Pixel 7, the Pixel 8, I wish they used a better material around the camera housing for the visor. I don't know why it looks so beat up so quickly, but within days, mine was looking like I had put it through a washing machine. I wish that weren't the case. But otherwise, the phone itself is premium. I love the frosted glass on the back. I love the rose quartz coloring. I love the color match frame. Everything about it screams premium, and when you hold it in the hand, it does feel like the most premium Pixel device yet. Battery life, phenomenal. That's something that people would jump up and down in the past about, saying, I don't get the battery life on the Pixels. I don't want to spend all that money if I can't get some of these premium features that we're used to in other flagships. And while their charging speeds haven't, the charging speeds on the Pixel 9 Pro XL leave much to be desired. The battery life doesn't. All-day battery life and then some. You're talking 8-9 hours of screen on time without breaking a sweat. The overnight drain is almost non-existent on this if you don't plug it in at night. Yes, you're going to want to plug it in at night because of those poor recharge speeds, but otherwise, it's a battery life that people aren't used to thinking about on Pixel phones. And that's something that, it's going to take, it's Google's own fault, and it's going to take a few generations. It was like this last year. I really liked the battery life on my Pixel 8 Pro, but it's going to take a few generations of excellent battery life, excellent screens, excellent performance to kind of get people off of that idea that Pixels just give you poor battery life. And that's something that's certainly not the case here. So if you've been worried about that in the past, think about those things that would keep you from trying out a Pixel in the past, that might have kept you on Galaxy, may have kept you on Motorola, may have kept you with some of these other Android manufacturers. Think about what those things were. What were they? Poor display, check, that's fixed. Poor battery life, overheating, both fixed. Poor connectivity, bad Bluetooth, bad modems. Those things have been fixed with the new modem in the Pixel 9 Pro XL. So aside from a slight raw horsepower deficiency, where if you're a hardcore video editor, somehow on your phone, you hate yourself enough that you're pinching in and out and you're scrubbing through timelines on your Pixel 9 Pro XL. If you're doing that, well then yes, you're going to want something that's a bit more powerful. If you're a hardcore gamer, if you're going to need all that performance, if you play Genshin Impact 24 hours a day, yes, you're going to look elsewhere. But for the rest of us that want a good camera, point and shoot, right? There are cameras that, if you can agree or disagree on whether you like the specific Pixel tuning, what I will say is that it's very consistent in that if you're just going to take 100 point and shoot photos, you're going to get a more consistent, likable result from your Pixel and your Pixel 9 Pro XL. Will you have to go in and tweak? Yes, especially if you want to pop your image, you're going to have to go in and saturate those colors a little bit more. Pixel's computational photography has kind of moved away from that, more the natural, sharper images. But I think on the whole, you take 100 photos with this, point and shoot, on the fly, you're going to get more reliable images out of this, especially if you got kids, you got pets, there's movement. You're going to get better results from this than you will something like the S25 Ultra that still struggles with movement. That shutter speed has been fixed, but you're still going to see a lot of blurring there when there's movement that it's trying to capture. So I think that there's still a versatility here and a back-end AI, whatever you want to call it, computational model here that's hard at work and actually does the job. And aside from that, when you put all that together, when you have really nice performance, when you have 16 gigs of RAM, when you have excellent battery life, when you have a good camera and a gorgeous display, when you look at all those things and then you pair it with the software support and then you pair it with those Google extras and the feature drops that are coming and those things that you could do on here that are a little easier and better integrated than other devices, then it's really easy to see how you get to $800. And for me, like I said, link in the description does help the channel. Fingerprint sensor's better. Face unlock is fantastic. I just have overall enjoyed my Pixel experience for the last 2 years. And this is coming from someone who was kicked off of Team Pixel. Just officially again the other day. I haven't gotten anything from them for 2 years. And then they sent around another email saying, oh, we're formally, we're looking for artists and lifestyle people and whatever else. And we don't want to deal with tech people anymore. So they sent around an email. But you know what? No matter. It doesn't matter. Because I look at the product that's in front of me. You can send me the product. You can not send me the product. I don't care. I don't care. My bottom line, my life isn't going to be affected one way or another. I'm just going to tell you what I actually have in my hand. And right now in my hand is a really quality phone. I'm excited to see what Google has for the future. I'm excited I trust Google for once. That's something I couldn't say for the longest amount of time. I trust Google. And this is a far cry from the beginning of last year, where I was jumping up and down, just jumping down the company's throat, saying, how could you possibly not bring Gemini Nano to the Pixel 8? How could you not, after charging people $1,500, $1,600 for a Pixel Fold, not bring the latest and greatest software stuff to it 6 months down the line? That was a disaster. And then you go all the way back to the Pixel 6 and Android 12, what a mess that was, and the company just basically having its head in the sand to any sort of problems with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and the fingerprint sensor, to now a company that puts together a complete package like this. And you got to give credit where credit is due. And are there areas where the S25 Ultra is going to score ahead of something like the Pixel 9 Pro XL? Absolutely. But then you start doing that calculus in your brain, $800 free and clear. I don't need a trade-in. I don't need to give anything up. I don't need to do anything. I don't need a freebie or whatever it is. $800 right now, $1,300 or whatever, you got a $500 difference. Even if you were to get that down a little bit, you got a $400, whatever it happens to be. If you want to match up the spec, yes, it's 128 gig for $800, $900 gets you to 256. Whatever you got to do to match specs, there's going to be a several $100 difference between the Pixel 9 Pro XL and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. And if you're going to sit there, hand on heart, and say that phone, the Galaxy S25 Ultra, is worth that multiple $100 difference, I don't think so. I think after having used this for 6 months, I do think this is worth the amount of money that you're paying. I do think it's worth, you get enough value here to make you consider something like a Pixel 9 Pro XL over a Galaxy S25 Ultra, especially when you're talking about the price difference between the two. Just an overall great job. Like I said, I trust Google. And that's something you can know. Only Nixon could go to China. I wouldn't have been saying that a year or two ago. And for good reason. But I think the engineers and the marketing team and everybody just had done a great job gaining a little bit of self-awareness that wasn't there before, understanding that they're not infallible, and coming out with a really nice consumer device. And that is exactly what the Pixel 9 Pro XL is. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that Steve-licious day.